Hello and welcome to ROI from AI, the podcast where in just 20 minutes, we break down how real businesses are getting real results from AI. I'm your host, Brad Guy. Today's guest is Dhruv Verma. Dhruv is the co-founder and CEO at Huddled, a super smart platform that's bringing tertiary education into the digital space, making learning more collaborative, and with the help of AI, saving teachers tons of time in the process. So let's learn from the man himself. Dhruv, welcome to ROI from AI.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure having you. I want to start at the beginning. What inspired you to launch Huddled?
Yeah, I guess takes me back to about a couple of years ago when I was in my final year at uni. Um, I'd gotten through, I guess, about 3-ish years of my degree, and I don't know how I got through it, but group assignments were a biggest pain for you quite literally ask any student what they think about group assessments and group assignments. So heart just sinks, and it's like, oh wait, I can't be bothered doing this.
Mm,
And that's really how it felt, and particularly in this semester that I was doing. Every single one of my subjects were group assessments. There's no exams, so they replaced it with assignments. And the problem with that is obviously, with the cohorts that we're working with, these are large groups. We're talking 5 to 6 people, including myself at a time. And it's very difficult to coordinate all of that, that stuff going on. And primarily because the university doesn't really provide you with some sort of communication tool to work with everyone. No one's checking their student emails. No one's checking the LMS because the LMS, or for the listeners who don't know what an LMS is, it's the learning management system. So that's literally where you would download learning content and, maybe contact your lecturers.
mm.
And what I realized was that effectively, if you did not form your own chats, communities, whatever that is, you literally would not pass that unit, which would set you back, what, maybe 3, 4 grand, 5 plus if you're an international student. And so essentially set out to build a platform that would solve the problems I had with group assignments. Basically, one platform for all of your assignment conversations, chats, group chats, etc. So they're not scattered across, text message, Snapchat at some cases, Facebook Messenger, etc. So yeah, that was kind of the brainchild, I guess, of Huddled. And of course, now it's a lot more than just group assignments, but yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah. So it was that personal experience that kind of made you discover this gap in the market, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, group assignments was definitely the start of it, and then realized that student engagement and I guess learning and teaching for the admin staff and professional staff that might be listening is really where we're honing in on now.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of these AI technologies, people are looking for gaps in the market from a business perspective, but you had that personal experience and then had that light bulb moment. You kind of took it upon yourself to fix
Yeah.
the issue. I'm sure a lot of people would have
I
just dealt.
think, yeah, the biggest light bulb moment for me was when one of my team members at the time said, I set up a Snapchat group chat. What's your Snapchat handle? I kind of just went, what? Why are we using a disappearing messaging platform for an assignment with 50%? So
Yeah.
I landed up going on email and bombarding my teacher with like, hey, get me out of this group, please. I want to
Unless
go.
you want to like send a selfie with some equations on it or
Yeah,
something.
sure. Let me just do that. Let me
You're
just
back.
put a story up of just me not doing an assignment. So,
Well, it sounds like Huddled is good. It's got something for teachers and something for students. So, how are students actually able to interact and collaborate with teachers in the
yeah.
platform?
It's so funny you ask that because, obviously being a student at the time, the way we started it was just to solve a big student problem and then talking to more, teachers, professional staff, etc.,
Mm.
figuring out and learning that teachers actually are swamped with the burden of actually using public social media. So I learned actually that teachers spend hours, or almost about 7.5 hours every single week going through Messenger, Snapchat, WhatsApp screenshots of students complaining that so and so isn't pulling their weight in the assignment.
Yeah.
So from my case, I would just like reach out to my teacher, screenshot my messenger chat, put in a PDF, all the conversations to like prove that this is why we submitted our assignment late was because so and so wasn't pulling their weight. And so the way teachers now engage in Huddled is that Huddled takes care of the project management aspect of group work. So effectively, teachers can spend more time actually teaching and delivering the content, which they already love doing, and creating the course materials, and then grading them, of course. And less time on managing, build blogs and so complaining on Snapchat that they're not doing their work properly. And so that suddenly becomes a problem that Huddle solves for the student and not a problem for the teachers, because the teachers are teaching them. They're not, their job is not student engagement. So that's
Mm.
effectively how they're using it at a high level.
So there's a mental health component to it as well, because I
Huge.
imagine the teachers would just be so burdened with having to
Yeah.
monitor all their students, especially in group assignments, like you said, and less burnout, less fatigue. Are you noticing that teachers with their adoption of Huddled are generally feeling better about their work?
Massively. Like, our data already shows of the case studies with our clients. So we're saving about 14 hours per full-time employee per month. And
Mm.
so if you're looking at a scale of, 5 course directors, 10 admin staff, et cetera, this compounds and, at the kind of national award rate, whatever that might be, which is varies between institutions, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars per FTE per month, and per semester as well. And so there's a massive stress reduction, obviously, for the teachers, where the whole concept of admin work for student engagement, community, and belonging, which used to be a problem for them to solve, is now suddenly largely driven by tech through our platform. And for students, looking back at my degree as well, like really worrying about whether you're going to complete the assignment on time, or so and so who's ghosted the group chat is going to do their part, and oh my god, I'm going to fail my degree. All of a sudden, Huddle is able to keep everyone on the same page in check. So no one's really complaining or getting too swamped with things, and really empowering academic success, which is at the end of the day what teachers want for their students.
Oh, absolutely. It's this mutual benefit between teachers and students when
Yeah.
there's often that gap and they're not
Yeah.
really able to see eye to eye. Do you have any real life examples of a school or an educator that's used Huddled and how it's enhanced their work?
Oh, absolutely. I we've got a I'm very grateful with a ton of clients now, but two that really come to mind are ones that actually one's quite special to me, and both are really, but another one I met by chance. So first one's Academy XI. They a fabulous team over there. They were using Slack for all of their comms. Effectively, what we see, a lot of our clients switch from Slack to Huddled, but it's traditionally what we see is that because they're using Slack in the workplace as a corporate communication tool, which is what it's built for, the idea is that, okay, they think that it could work as well for learning and teaching or student engagement, which primarily would you quickly realize it isn't built for that. And so what we saw here is that they run about 28 to 30 courses at any given point in time. So when they're using Slack, they would create literally 30 workspaces. Because that's the way Slack works, workspaces, channels, etc. Obviously, Slack is just chats. That's about it. And so every single week, admin staff were just spending time just setting up these spaces, workspaces. And so in Huddled, when they made the switch, the way our system works is we can integrate with the LMS, or we can just use a CSV file. So what they would do, they chose to use a CSV file in this instance. Literally one time upload, literally one giant workspace, and every single community in Huddled is a course or a program that they're running. And so in just a few minutes, they were able to set up all their courses, communications, etc., automatically. So bringing almost the admin time we say for them was about 56 hours a month. And so that really compounds. Another one, Reactor School, they were using Slack as well. They run hundreds of programs actually every year. And so they had basically, quote unquote, a graveyard of Slack workspaces where they would just come in, check it, and then leave. And students looked at it as like a corporate communication tool. So they're like, oh, maybe I just go to this space to just check it and see what happens. And so for them, their ops team, which is about, I think about 3 to 4 people, instead of having someone that manages all the workspaces manually, Huddle automates that setup, the management and automation of user account management and creation. So when they graduate, they don't need access anymore. They don't need to worry about it. So yeah.
Mm. No, I love that because in my Slack, my Slack has so many dead channels
Yeah.
and only recently went through them all. And there were some channels there from like 2022. And it's just so clunky
Yeah.
and it takes up all this space. So I guess the good thing with Huddled is that it's very project specific. Were there any surprises during the development or deployment phase, or like any pieces of feedback that kind of caught you off guard that you thought, oh, maybe I didn't think of that. Now I will include that based on the feedback?
I think I think a big one was how important editing posts, because we have a post function in our platform, which is why we built for education, so for discussions, things like that, announcements, and then we're editing messages as well. I actually didn't realize how important that was for the end user. We actually originally didn't have the feature because working with education providers, actually having the ability to see what's being sent, posted, shared, etc., in the sense of academic misconduct or any other liabilities, etc., that we might need to cover our bases for in future. We actually didn't ship that feature, but then we'll end up doing that because it is a very high in demand feature. But the way we've solved that problem is we have AI that moderates all the spaces automatically. So that's kind of how we've overcome that barrier. I guess solved it while solving both problems. So yeah,
Yeah, I was going to ask
yeah,
how AI integrates with Huddle. So
yeah.
you mentioned moderation. What other AI aspects are there within the
Yeah.
platform?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that students struggle with is actually managing what tasks to work on, whether it's as an individual assignment or even a group assignment. Group assignments, even it's compounded, where no one knows what they want to work on, who's doing the body paragraph, who's doing the intro paragraph, who's submitting it, who's grading it, etc., etc., etc. And so another AI that we have is something called Magic Tasks. Or what Magic Tasks does is you upload a brief spec, whatever it is, of your assignment or project that you're working on. It can be as long or short as you want. So you can put everything in there, rubric, whatever it might be, past examples, etc. And what Huddled AI will do with Magic Tasks, it'll actually read through that whole thing and break down all of the things you need to do to achieve that specified grade that your group all wants to target or aim towards.
Mm.
And so then what you can do afterwards is assign tasks, assign deadlines, make sure everyone's on track. And then we have a notification system that reminds you once you're getting closer to the due date, hey, how are you going? How are you progressing with this? And so typically there's this persona or this joke in kind of group assignments. We have like the ghost who sort of, is there, but just doesn't do anything. And then you've got the legend who carries a team. And then you've got basically the silent observer. They're the ones that are like, yeah, cool, reads all the messages. And then all of a sudden pops out of nowhere the day it's due saying, hey, has the work been done? So effectively, our magic task feature is like, hey, this is how it's all broken down. And the teachers get basically back end visibility of that, giving them a way to basically go, hey, no, actually, you didn't pull your weight in this. I'm going to grade you lower. And that's the biggest thing that we're seeing with our AI, that students want to be treated fairly, especially in group work where, half the people aren't pulling their weight. So yeah.
Mm. Well, you've got two different audiences here, which is what I find interesting about Huddled. You've got educators, teachers,
Yeah.
and then also students. Most of the time, different age brackets. It's probably like Gen Z versus boomers. How are you integrating AI to make sure that it's not too overwhelming for people that might not be so technically inclined?
You see, our AI is actually quite aligned to students, but the benefit and value actually compounds to the, I guess, the decision makers, the admin staff, or the boomers, quote unquote, that you mentioned. The way it works is that like the AI delivers immediate value to the students, helping them, achieve academic success, helping them run things more efficiently. The AI moderation, it keeps conversations safe, so people feel included, they feel safe, etc., etc. The benefit to the institution from both sides, so Magic Tasks with our task breakdown feature helps minimize a lot of the complications with group work and group assignments, which is what I guess the time saving for the teachers. The AI moderation, it's a huge safety thing. So
Mm.
institutions that implement Huddled don't even need to worry about investing additional time, money, people, so resources to actually manually moderate the spaces. That's the biggest thing that, all of our prospective clients and existing clients have said to us. And so our AI moderation not only keeps conversations inclusive, but gives basically the institution assurance that you don't actually need to worry about things like racism, hate speech, sexual harassment that might occur, which of course, when you're looking at cohorts of like, 10, 20, 30,000 students, plus another 5, 10,000 staff, depending on the size of the university, that compounds in terms of the value at scale.
That's one thing I wanted to touch on as well when it comes to a typical student body. It's very diverse. How are you making sure that your AI systems are ethical and adapting to all these different types of people that might be using it?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one is we're using very well established models. So we're using, Microsoft, we're using Gemini, for sort of the back end side of our AI tools, which all follow very compliant standards. In terms of the data that we're actually looking into, it's not analyzing and reading all of the data that you're sharing. The AI is only using what it's specifically required for. So for AI moderation, it's just content that's being shared onto the service, onto the platform. With our Magic Task, it's just content that you upload. And so that, I guess, privacy and security aspect keeps things very ethical in the sense that we're not using it to sell it to third parties. We never, ever, and will ever sell data to third parties. And that's essentially how we're keeping things ethical. That our AI is not just there to be like a bandwagon. Hey, we got AI. Let's just slap an AI tag on it. For us, AI is like is just delivering value to our key stakeholders that use our platform. If that doesn't tick a box, for us, we won't launch it.
I love that. Some people have described the education sector as a bit slow moving when it comes to AI, especially when you see all these reports with students using ChatGPT and they're either not checking their work or they're getting incorrect information. They're looking for shortcuts. So the education sector has been a little bit slow to respond. How do you see it evolving so that AI can help the education sector and not be something that they're combating like it is at the moment?
I think definitely like maybe just when ChatGPT came out, maybe like a few years ago, like that definitely was an era where everyone is so skeptical. But I think now that a few years have passed and it's become smarter, it's doing more things. Like now you can like vibe code like new products and things like that. I think a lot of education providers are getting a bit more receptive to it. The reason being is that you can't ignore it. And that's I guess it's also a blessing and somewhat not, because at the same time, you might want to be a bit more traditional, but at the same time, you can't ignore it because everyone expects it. Um, I think it's definitely picking up a lot more now. I mean, you've got very well reputable universities like UNSW, like they've got a major partnership with OpenAI. We're working with a lot of clients today that are doing a lot more in AI as well, and implementing AI across not just their chatbots, but building things like AI tutors and AI teachers, etc., so that students can query a chat to ask a teacher a question instead of asking the teacher themselves. So it's like 24/7 support. So I think there's a lot of things moving and evolving. I hope, and I think that's what we'll be doing specifically with Huddled, is making sure that AIs that we release are very ethical and delivering value. If it doesn't tick those boxes, it won't be released. But that's kind of how I see it evolving. As long as it's delivering real value, I don't see a problem with
Yeah, there's still this
it.
fear and
Yeah,
look, there's a lack of trustworthiness that people are perceiving with AI. I only saw recently that now some classrooms are letting students write essays in person rather than writing them at home. And it's like, what an easy solution. Like you can use AI to enhance your education instead of cheating and taking shortcuts. But sometimes you just got to find those solutions for it.
exactly right, exactly right. Let's like with Magic Tasks and Huddle, it's like we plan your assignment for you. We don't do your assignment for you. And I think that it's the whole idea is like, okay, cool. Like here's what we're gonna be working on now, and now let's get it done. And I think that's why a lot of universities and RTOs are putting in things like through plagiarism checks and things like that to make sure that people aren't using AI to cheat their degree.
That's one thing I say all the time is AI is developing, but we've got to develop alongside with it and make
Exactly.
sure that we're using it to its best potential, or else it'll probably just like go off the wagon. But with all these AI technologies that are really emerging at the moment, are there any in particular that you're excited about that you've noticed?
Man, I've loved playing around with Google's Notebook LM. So we released Magic Tasks a couple weeks ago, and announced that launch through a podcast generated by Notebook LM, which is actually insane because I feel like it would sound exactly as what we're doing right now, and it did. It's on YouTube and LinkedIn that we shared it on, and it sounded so real, and it made it feel like it was legit. Like it made me feel like these are like real people. Which is
Yeah.
I couldn't get my head around it. It's really cool. So Notebook LM for sure, and then of course, like I mean, ChatGPTs. I guess everyone's sort of using that today, but I guess the way we use it is to help us draft social media content, things like that. Check different things, email newsletters, etc. We're leveraging a lot of AI internally to speed up our operations.
Where I see it heading personally as someone that doesn't work hands on in the AI space is something like ChatGPT will be the new Google, where we'll be able to build a relationship with it. It'll know us really well. So instead of typing in like, dumplings restaurant, we'll say, plan my Friday night. And it'll say, I know that you love dumplings, but this place is going to be booked out. You can go to this place. Here's the train to get. And here's how much money you need to take out. Like it'll be way more curated and integrated. Then I think it'll build that trust when it starts to know who we are on a more personal level. So I think the next 5 to 10 years, it's gonna be scary. It's a new frontier, but it's exciting at the same time. Where do you see it going in the next decade or so?
I think that, like, exactly what you said. I mean, ChatGPT is also already kind of doing this a little bit. I got a pop up recently that said, "Hey, make ChatGPT your search engine or whatever it is." I can eventually think of a world where AI is something that you wear, you use, digitally, physically, like with Meta's glasses, even Snapchat's glasses as well. Um, Frank Grief, who's a very reputable founder, founded Realbase. He started a new AI kind of assistant that I've been seeing sort of online, and for I think founders and executives and things like that. So I can see a world where AI will suddenly become something as I guess rely like your phone. Like you always take your phone in your pocket or wherever it is. Your phone's like your wallet, etc., etc. Suddenly, I think that can be a world where your glasses are AI, your phone's got all this AI that plans out your day, delivers groceries for you, organizes different purchases, flights, holidays, etc. I think it's a world where it can actually do everything for you, becomes an extension of you. I think there's like doppelgangers. I feel like an AI will become like a doppelganger of yourself. I feel.
It'll start
That's scary.
hosting podcasts, as you've seen. It's like, I'm gonna be out of a job soon.
Yeah. Oh, nothing can beat the natural aura that we're providing right now.
No, I don't think so. It's
Yeah,
priceless.
exactly.
One question I do wanna end on that I ask all my guests is, what is your biggest tip for a return on investment using AI?
I think that whether it's a business, whether it's something that you're doing as a hobby or something that's going to benefit your personal life, if it's make sure it's like aligned with something that is actually going to benefit your workflow, benefit what you're working on. So if it's personal, is it going to make your Monday better? Is it going to get rid of your, Monday blues or whatever it is, If it's going to benefit something in your day, I think that's really impactful from a personal approach. And from a business approach, you got to look at the ways that, okay, is it going to grow your business? Is it going to help a customer that you're working with? Is it, going to help investors if you work with investors? So I think it needs to deliver real stakeholder value from a business point of view and real personal life value if it's from a personal use case. I wouldn't use AI for the sake of using it, but if it's you frame the conversation around how's it going to benefit and improve my lifestyle or my business, I think that's a much better way to approach an ROI with the use of AI.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little mix of, business and pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah, because I mean nowadays you can implement AI, but from a personal point of view as well as a business. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see where Huddled goes. It's kind of skyrocketed into what it is now. So you should
Thank you.
be
Appreciate that.
super proud of yourself. You're actually really making positive change. If you wanted to quickly touch on where you see Huddled going in the next 5 years or so, that would be really interesting.
I think with Huddled, our passion and mission from day zero has always been to drive student community and belonging. But that's got such a ripple effect because when you think of university students, higher education, etc., it's students are at the epicenter, but really it's the teachers and admin staff and everyone else behind the scenes that actually powers that behemoth of the sector.
Mm.
And so Huddle right now is a learning and teaching and student engagement platform, but really where we want to see it go into is the one platform that the sector only needs to rely on to manage their entire life cycle of their students. So I'm talking like pre-enrollment to enrollment to learning, teaching, engagement where it's at now to alumni recruitment, graduation. Well, alumni graduation, I guess, recruitment and beyond
Mm.
is where we sort of see Huddle going. And then having AI in the mix to really support, I guess, and exactly what I said before, value-driven features that actually benefit the key stakeholders, to help students get hired faster, to help them graduate with higher grades for academic success, and then continue to save the time for teachers and administrative staff to manage that whole life cycle from start to finish. So that's really where we see Huddle going into. And I guess I want the sector to look at Huddled the same way that they look at Microsoft Office 365, you don't bat an eyelid. You look at it and be like, yep, yeah, we're going to implement that. That we need that for our infrastructure. Huddle
Mm.
will be that infrastructure for the sector. The same way that Office 365 is infrastructure for the corporate sector. So yeah.
I love that. Ambitious. No, that's what you need. With these sorts of ideas, the bigger you think, I think the more you achieve. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah, no, exactly right. That's sort of where we're heading into. So baby steps, we're getting there. We've gone from group assignments to now learning and teaching and student engagement. So I guess we're making our way there.
Well, Dhruv, I've really appreciated hearing all about your story. So thank you so much for joining us on ROI from AI.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the opportunity.